Tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt, you can stress on the strife, but I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. I'm flying on faith, I'm flying on faith. You could cry all night about the things that you hate, so dissatisfied in so many ways, but I'm gonna find a way to celebrate today. I'm flying on faith, I'm flying on faith. Picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door.
Good morning, and welcome to Be Radiant, where we build and empower you to live a radiant life. I am so excited to be with you today because we have some great information for you. We're in the month of August. I call it the month of new beginning, the month to start all over again, the month to get things right. And so we have invited Regina Osei into the room. She is a financial well-being coach with a program called Operation Hope. She's going to tell us all about that program today, and she's going to actually give you an opportunity. If it's a program that you need or you know someone that does, she's going to give you an opportunity and tell you how you can connect with her and Operation Hope. Now, I don't know about you, but our finances tend to be a place that kind of lock us down. It keeps us from living our best life. But Regina is here today to tell you exactly how you can get those finances in order and how you can start over and start moving toward your life of hope. And so I'm going to bring her in the room and let her talk more about it. I do want to pray over us because prayer over our finances is something that unlocks and unblocks us. So, Lord, I just thank you for this morning, for this opportunity to receive information that can open our hearts and our minds to you and to what you have in store for us. And so we ask you that this month of August, 2021, will be a month of new beginnings for us. Lord, anoint Regina so that she can give, oh God, this program to people whose hearts are open and minds are ready. In the precious name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. I'm going to bring her in the room and let her wow you with this presentation. Good morning, Regina. How are you?
Good morning, Valerie. Pastor V, how are you?
I am amazing, and I am so glad that you are with us today because this is something that I think the kingdom needs to hear. It's for anybody, anyone who has any issues with finances and can rebuild and get back up and keep moving. But I believe too that the kingdom of God, the people need to hear this information. So I definitely am excited about you being here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I am married and I am an ordained minister myself. Went into the ministry in the year 2000, served as a missionary in Ghana for about 4 years where I met my husband, Prince. I told my friends I was going to Ghana to meet my prince, and I did. That's his name. And we have two beautiful girls, Sion and Lyric. And I guess I'm a sandwich generation because I have young girls and I have my mother who just turned 90 this year.
Oh, wow.
And so we're all living together in our home. And that's just basically who I am.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to ask, if you're watching, please share this with someone because this is going to bring some financial freedom. And I believe everyone needs to hear it. So share because the information that she's going to give you is going to blow your socks off. Because for one thing, Regina, what impressed me so much is that this program of coaching that helps get people to financial freedom is offered to them free of charge. That blew my mind.
Yeah, that's really amazing because I've had people that contacted me, and when I did the presentation for them, they would say, "Now, how much is this?" And throughout the presentation, I'm saying, "At no cost to you, we provide." And then they'll go back and say, "Now, what did you say this cost?" And I say, "It's no cost." And one lady, it tickled me because one lady said that she knew she needed to talk with someone, and she was looking for someone, and she met someone, and she was trying to figure out, well, how am I going to get the $500 to pay that person, because that's what they were charging initially when she ran across my information. So that's why she just couldn't believe it was free.
Yeah, you're going to find out exactly what I'm talking about if you listen to this, because the information that she's going to be giving, you're going to be like, wait a minute, there's no way that's free. What's the catch? What's the catch? But anyway, Regina, can you tell us what brought you to Operation Hope?
Actually, what brought me to Operation Hope was a friend that I met on another job that I was doing. However, I myself had been in need of services like this. My husband had lost his job at one point. I was not working any type of full-time job. So I got to a point where I had to just stop paying bills for about 4 months. And my husband started our lawn care and landscaping business, but it was just, in the initial phases, and we couldn't really count on that money. So our credit plummeted. We had to figure it out. We didn't have anybody that we knew we could go to at that time, but we did get some coaching, and we started with a budget, which is what I usually start with my clients with as well. And that was such an eye-opening experience for me. And by going through that process, we were able to get ourselves out of arrears, get our get everything paid off, become debt-free, and be able to get the home that we actually didn't even know that we could afford to get when we started.
Wow. So now, I don't know about you, but when I hear someone's story where they have put these principles into practice and it brought them from where they were to where they wanted to be, I want to hear more about what they have to offer. So I'm gonna shut up, Regina. I'm gonna let you take this and give your presentation. So if you would go ahead and share your screen, I am giving you the floor. All I want to say before I shut my mouth, they know I love to talk, Regina. Before I shut my mouth, share this with someone. Share with someone. I see we have Latoya in the room. She works with a group, Women Empowered. And so I want you, Latoya, share this with them. Let them know about this so they can come on, watch it this morning, and get that information. I'm also, if you notice, I have put on in the comment section, operationhope.org. We're going to be giving more contact information for Regina as well. So let's hear about Operation Hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Well, this is our credit and money management program, and this is the credit orientation workshop. So I'm going to just share a bit of what you have asked for in terms of what we do. Most of our locations are called Hope Inside. We give you hope, but my location is actually located inside Trustmark Bank. And these are some of the topics that we will be covering today, where you understand a little bit more about your credit score, your rights, and many other things. This is our founder, John Bryant. John Hope Bryant, actually, is his name. And he started this company actually 29 years ago. And when he started the company, he started during the wake of the LA riots. He has a little bit he wants to say, so I'm going to let him talk for a minute.
How do you take a system that you think is against you and turn it on its head and make it for you. If all you see is a drug dealer, a rap star, or an athlete as the only symbols of prosperity, aspiration, and success, then guess what you want to be? There's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is economic, but being poor is a disabling frame of mind, a depressed condition of your spirit, and you must vow never to be poor again. You cannot have 3.5 billion people who do not have as much wealth. It's 85 of the wealthiest people in the world. That's not sustainable. Freedom and liberty and justice and fair play is not a thing, it's a feeling. In today, freedom, the definition of freedom is self-determination. You cannot self-determine yourself in the modern world except through commerce and economics. Everything from the time you get up to the time you go to bed involves commerce and finance. But we don't understand either, most of us, which means that we are basically prisoners. Small business owners, entrepreneurs, and shoot-ups and startups generate all new job growth in America, the largest economy in the world. So you need this middle class dream and reality so that people can go up the ladder. It is a radical movement of common sense that says you have got to give people the memo, the language of money. Some people got the memo, and there are probably 5 billion people plus on this planet who never got the memo, don't even know it exists. Project 5117 of Operation Hope between now and 2020 will deliver the memo. We will create America's first national private banker for the poor, the working class, and the struggling middle class. Oh, people say I'm nuts, and that's a compliment, because they said that Steve Jobs was nuts. They said that Ted Turner was nuts. They said that Bill Gates was nuts. And they said that my hero, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was nuts. Let me tell you what, I'll take it. The book, How the Poor Can Save Capitalism, is not counterintuitive. It's history. It's not political in any way, shape, or form. It's not black and it's not white. It's not about rich and it's not about poor. It's not about west and it's not about east. It's about human nature. This is about a sustainable life. Living a life you can actually be proud of.
I hope you can still, are you still there, Valerie?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Yeah, I like to share that little clip because one of his quotes is that there's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is a temporary economic condition, but being poor is a disabling financial mindset, and we must vow never ever to be poor again. And people generally resonate with that quote so much, and I like to hear him say it and just talk about just self-determination and how we can bring ourselves out of many of the situations that we are in through this program. And I love that this program, again, is totally free. But we're located, as you see on this map of our locations, throughout the United States, primarily the lower half. And we have an office probably near you. Currently, we are working both virtually and in person, so you can get everything that you need via Zoom or a platform similar to the one that we're on now. And we've done this work not for 28 years, but this past May, it was 29 years. And we're all about financial inclusion. We want everybody to be included in the enterprise. And so for 29 years, we have been able to render to both youth and adults the services that we provide. So we've helped people who were not banking customers to now become banking customers. They were probably only using title loan companies or liquor stores to get their own money, or check cashing companies having to pay to get their own money. Now they're banking customers. Renters, we've been able to help become homeowners. And small business dreamers, we've turned into small business owners through our program. And our program is basically what we call a community uplift model with 4 components. We have Hope Inside Adult, Hope Inside Youth, the Workplace, and Disaster. My program is Hope Inside Adult, Credit and Money Management. And with that program, I'm able to help home buyers, I'm able to help people get ready for home buying and for small business ownership. So with this program in particular, it's designed to transform what we call disabling financial mindsets. That's generally where we have to start, is with the mindset. Teaching people how money works, how to navigate credit, how to save and budget, and how to increase your credit score, what things you need to do, how you can really get your debt paid down and paid off so that you're debt free. So those are the primary components of the program that I provide. And it's this workshop, but it's also that one-on-one credit counseling that I will have with people so that we can work specifically on their particular goals. Our home ownership program, which we have been very successful with, we've to the tune of $1.4 billion in residential mortgages. We've been able to assist people with the process of home ownership, getting them to be able to get the financing they need without resorting to a subprime loan. And so that program is really, really valuable. And generally, if someone comes to me, the bank will send people to me, different banks, as well as Trustmark, and people, realtors will refer their clients to me to get them ready when they come to them and they see, oh, your credit score is a little low, it needs to increase a bit, you need to get some things taken care of, or the debt to income ratio is not what it needs to be. So I help with all of that so that they can become homeowners. Our small business development program is really amazing because it's an 8-week program, but you go from soup to nuts in that program. You really learn everything about different business models, how to put that business plan together, how to do your elevator speech, how to the accounting, using QuickBooks, and marketing your business, using social media. So in that 8-week time frame, you're going to learn everything that you need, not only to have a successful and a strong business launch, but also so that your business is sustainable. And we do have some other components connected to this. We have the 1 Million Black Business Initiative that many cities and municipalities have bought into, other businesses have bought into. And for example, I live I actually live in Mississippi, but I serve Tennessee. And so the city of Memphis has committed to so many entrepreneurs that they are committed to seeing launch their businesses this year. It's really powerful.
Amen.
We also have disaster financial preparedness and recovery, because what we learned was that there are organizations, there have always been organizations to help people during disasters, like the American Red Cross and FEMA and those kind of responders to disasters. But we saw that the greatest negative impact, whether you're an individual, whether you're a community, a church, whatever you are, when there is a disaster or a major emergency, is financial. And so that's how Hope Coalition of America was created. We created that organization as part of what we provide, and that was during 9/11 that we put that together. And as part of that program, we have this website, dfrscore.org, so that people can actually answer a few questions on this website, find out what is your disaster financial recovery score. In other words, how prepared are you to recover financially should you face a personal emergency or a disaster? But not only will you get your score, you're going to get an action plan that's going to help you become much better prepared. So I encourage people to definitely do that. And in our packet, when I prepare to counsel with someone, I send you a packet. And in that packet, we're going to get your profile. We're going to get some demographic information, but we'll also have, and we'll get your permission to access your credit score to do what we call a soft pull, which will not have any impact on your credit, but it will allow us to see what we need to help you with. But also there is a page that has the emergency financial first aid kit and the personal disaster preparedness guide link. And if you click on that link, you'll get access to these documents, which will help you ensure that when something happens, you are prepared, you're organized, whether it's medical information, insurance information, child care, whatever it is that you need to be able to put your hands on. Once you've made sure that your family and your loved ones are safe, now you need to take care of business. We've got these documents to help you really be organized. Now, one of the things I like to do when I do this presentation is just talk about, and generally I'll talk to the audience. I know in this format, we won't really have that dialogue, but I'll talk about key life lessons on money. And the reason I do that is because when I hear that term, I think this is universal. This is not something that is only for people of a certain status or certain, culture. This is universal. So what are those key life lessons? Number one on the list is learn about money. Everybody needs to understand the terms, what they mean, how they operate, how you go about doing certain things as it relates to money, as it relates to investments, as it relates to anything in the financial field. We deal with this from the cradle to the grave, but we don't generally teach this in schools.
Right.
And so I encourage you to learn about money. And on the slide that I have behind this one, I have several apps, websites, books. I have a list of resources that are phenomenal to help you with that quest, so that anything that you're about to go into and you need to know more about, one of those resources will be able to really help you. Also, valuing money. Anything we value, we protect. Don't we, Valerie?
Yes, absolutely.
I value my children. I value my husband. I value our home. I value my mother. So we look out for that. We protect it. We put in processes and systems and we're just careful. But we don't worship it, but we value it. And so it's important to value money. I haven't always valued money. I've been a spendthrift at times in my life. I've not saved. But when you value your money, you're going to save your money. You're not going to spend everything that comes in. You're going to pay God. You're going to pay yourself. You're going to put something back for a rainy day. You're going to have that emergency fund when you value your money. Also, minimalism is a practice that some of the wealthiest people in the nation practice. They're not generally, if they're accustomed, if they're used to money, old money, they're not materialistic necessarily. In fact, I remember when I was growing up and I would see people, and some of them would just look like, the plain Jane. You even go to some of their homes on occasion, and these were people of means, but everything seemed to be scaled down. I was surprised. It wasn't, all of the glitz and the glam that we all, many of us want and become accustomed to having or thinking that that's what, speaks of wealth. But minimalism is a practice that is a key life lesson on money. We've got to learn to pare it down in order to amass wealth. Investing, if you're not investing, you're not staying ahead of inflation. If you're not investing, your money is not making money for you, right? So basically, you can work so many hours a day. I mean, you and I, we're fallible. So I can work maybe 10, 12, maybe 14, maybe even 16 hours a day. But after so many hours, I'm pooped. I need a nap.
Absolutely.
But guess what? My money can work for me 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Put your money to work for you, but you got to learn about it. You got to know what your investment palette is. You got to understand what your risk tolerance is. You got to factor in your age, and it's so many things. So learn, but invest. And finally, key life lesson on money: love yourself. One of the things I teach my clients is don't do anything for anybody else that you love that is going to come back to haunt you. One of the things that many of my clients have done is a mistake that many will say they've learned it now, but I try to teach this on the front end. Don't co-sign for anybody. Even if it's somebody you love, somebody you trust. I have clients that have co-signed for siblings, co-signed for parents, have put their name on the dotted line for an apartment or whatever. Generally, when that person needs that type of help from you, they're not going to be able to sustain it. So you are ending up taking on another car that you weren't planning to buy, or an apartment that you don't need to live in, So love yourself. There's some things you just got to say no to. I just don't do that. Somebody walks up to me and tries to hand me a blunt. I just don't do that. No,
That's
sorry.
right.
I don't do that. Right. So key life lessons on money. This is the site I was telling you, the page I told you. Take a snapshot. These are superb resources for any aspect of money you want to learn about. Just like there are key life lessons on money, there are 7 enemies of financial success. What I find that is the most for people is lack of discipline or materialism. They will knock out your financial success every time. Even for our program, we need you to have a certain amount of discipline that you put in place, because when we go through that budget, we're going to find some areas for most people that it's we've overdone, and it's a habit. So we've got to kind of make some changes in order to have our outgo not be more than our income, so that we can balance things out. But all of the debt, even if it's good debt, it's an enemy. So when you buy a house, for example, we often think that's good debt. You've got, an investment. Yes, it may be good debt, but it's still debt. So we want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. So these are some enemies of financial success, and we deal with or talk about all of these as we engage. One of the ways to overcome and mitigate one of the enemies, which was taxes, we all have to pay them. But if your income is $56,000 or less, we've pointed our clients to VITA during tax season, because they will look at even several years of taxes. They can help amend taxes if you've not been taking advantage of certain things like the earned income tax credit or the child tax credit or the education tax credit, or maybe you didn't think you qualified. But we encourage our clients, go to VITA. And we had about 150 of our clients came back to us a year ago and said, look, I took your advice. I did go to VITA. And of that 150 people that came back to tell us, they had recouped about $500,000 in tax refunds.
Wow.
$500,000 that they did not know, because they thought, oh, I don't have children, so I can't take advantage of EITC. Yes, you can if you have the income. It's all about income and other criteria. So we definitely encourage that. We also deal with the credit report, and we encourage everyone, check your own credit report. It will help you if you've been if your identity has been stolen, then that's one place where you can see what has happened. I have a client that came to me. She did not know that someone had filed a claim on her death. Now, the lady is alive, sitting in front of me on my screen on Zoom, but when I pulled up her credit report and showed her, she was like, I did not know that. She did not know that she was not only declared as deceased, so we couldn't get a score, but also somebody had filed a claim on her death. So I had to help her, let's go to the Social Security department. It was difficult because it was right in the middle of the pandemic and they were closed. So it was hard, but now she has a 700 plus credit score because she's gotten all that done. So you need to check your credit report. You can check all three. The last I checked, they were allowing, annualcreditreport.com was allowing it once a week for free. You can look at all three of your credit reports. And the reason they did that was because of COVID-19 scams. So it's very important. When we're talking about credit reports, we're talking about the FICO, Fair Isaac Corporation. And we talk about that one simply because that's the one that your creditors are also going to be looking at. So you want to make sure that you're not comparing a Vantage score model like Credit Sesame or Credit Karma, but you're looking at a FICO model. And that's why we send our clients to annualcreditreport.com. And that credit score starts at 300, goes up to 850. The sweet spot, 700 and above. We are all about helping our clients become 700 credit score community members. What makes up your credit score is all of these 5 elements, and we will talk about them in a little bit of detail. So payment history is the greatest, it's the lion's share of what makes up your credit score. And your client, your creditors want to know that you're trustworthy, that you're credit worthy. And so they determine that by looking at your credit score and saying, well, how did they pay the other people that they owed, right? So if you didn't pay them or you missed some payments or you were late, there are algorithms that are going to determine, well, how many accounts did they pay, on time? How many were paid late? How late were they? Were they only 30 days late, or were they 120 days late, or 60 or 90 days late? Well, depending on what that information is, now that's how those points will either be added or deducted. And the more recent that something happens, the more negative or positive the impact is. If you have public records like judgments or liens, or you haven't been paying your child support, or collections or charge-offs where the company has just written you off as bad debt because for several months you didn't pay them. That's what happened to me. You're going to get a big negative hit in this that makes up 35% of your credit score. The amount owed, this is something I did not know. I honestly didn't know that before I started working for Operation Hope, was that when you have credit cards, for example, and first of all, in order to build credit, you do need credit cards. Unless you're batting 1,000 in all the other 4 areas, you're going to need credit cards because that's 30% of what makes up your credit score. So if you have credit cards, it's good, but it's how you use them that matters. You don't need to put any more on a credit card than about 25% of that credit limit. That's where I teach my clients, just stay under the radar, 25% or less. And actually, people with the highest credit scores actually only use about 6 to 10% of the credit that they could be using on those cards. Now, this category is not just going to look at one card, but it's going to factor in the total of, however many accounts you've got, and add up all of those credit limits, and then determine based on your balances what that percentage is. But you want to stay under the radar with this, because when your balances are too high, or you've maxed out your cards, or you're over 50%, then you're going to get a negative hit in this category. This is what I find more so, even as much or more than the way people pay their bills. This is the category that usually hurts people the most.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you from college, they'll get those credit cards that everybody's sending, and then they max them out, and that's how they stay.
Exactly. Can't do that. So just paying those bills down can increase your credit score. You'd be surprised, especially it seems like the lower your score is, the greater the impact of that portion. When you do something good, the greater the positive impact. And in the same vein, the higher your score is, the least thing you do that's not good, like you miss a payment, it's going to take a big hit. So you got to keep those things in mind. Length of credit history, that's 15%. So, I mean, it is what it is. I encourage young people, send your young people that are going off to college. They're 18 at least. They're going to start, they want to start building credit. I want to start working with them early so that they know what to do, because they need a lengthy credit history, at least 9-10 years. And this looks at the average of all your accounts as well. And so it'll add up the total and then divide by that total. And that's what's going to give you your average age. But you want a lengthy credit history. And that also means that you don't want to close certain accounts. When accounts close, it's going to cut off your length of credit history. If it's a credit card that closes, it's also cutting off your credit limits, which could hurt your balance. New credit, people are usually afraid of me checking their credit scores. I'm making a soft pull. It's hard pulls when you're actually trying to apply for credit that will hurt you. It's going to take points off your credit score. It's also going to stay on your credit report for 2 years, negatively impact your credit score for a year. And so you just want to be careful and know that you only need to apply for credit when you really need credit, because it's going to take points off whether or not you get the credit or not. And finally, what impacts your credit score is types of credit. You need both types, both revolving and installment accounts. Valerie, how are we doing on time?
We are doing great. You have about 15 more minutes. We're doing great. And I'm over here just taking furious notes.
Okay.
This is good information.
Awesome. Well, we want to encourage everyone to master their card. Now, this is something we were sent by MasterCard, but whatever kind of card you use, it's important to master your card. Why? Because electronic payments actually matter. When you are making payments, I've got clients that they say, I'm old school. I write checks. I don't use a card. I don't use any kind of payment card. Well, payment cards are safer, simpler, and smarter, and they help you to manage your money better. It's hassle-free. It also helps you if there's any fraud. I remember one time I was sitting in my garage, had just pulled in, got a call from American Express, and they were asking me, was I in Texas making charges? And I had my American Express card in my purse. And of course, I was not in Texas. I was in Tennessee at the time. But because that was a card they were using, I was able to completely, get that. I mean, they had to restore. They didn't, nothing. I didn't lose anything.
Beautiful.
I didn't lose anything. So payment cards are safe, simple, and smart. But not every card is a credit card. It may have a Visa, it may have a MasterCard, it may have a logo on there, but it may be a debit card, a prepaid card. They all operate differently. And there's a place for all of them. Credit cards can build your credit. It's the only one that will either help you establish, if you don't have credit, we can get your credit score if we open up credit for you. But a prepaid or a debit card won't. I like to use prepaid cards to help people that have a little bit of indiscipline and they need to buckle it down, maybe with their spending, and they're accustomed to using a card, they're accustomed to swiping. So I'll say, okay, let's swipe a prepaid card. Let's put how much we're going to limit this category of spending to. If it's like, let's say, instead of spending $300 a month eating out, they want to say, I'm going to change that. bring that down to $100 a month. You sure? Yes, $100 a month. Okay, let's put it on a prepaid card. And when that money is finished on that card, people got to take you out because you're not spending another dime.
I love it.
So I talk to my clients about this. Debit cards, just make sure you use them in network. And if you are out of network, stop by a Walmart or somewhere, because if you buy some chewing gum, they're going to ask you, do you want cash back? And if you do, if you're not paying to get your money because you're out of network trying to use an ATM. So it's just good to know how to use each one of these. And finally, the cost of using only cash, like if you only pay with money orders, or you only pay with you only use a check cashing company, you don't use a bank, don't have a banking relationship, so therefore you can't use an ATM or anything like that, it's going to cost you more. Just straight off the top, look at the difference. The estimated total monthly cost for just paying bills. You go to the local, store, you pay your MLG or your light, gas, and water bill or whatever, and you're doing it all of this, using methods other than cards. You're going to end up paying more. A money order is going to cost you. So we encourage you to understand the value of cards so that you can master your card. And then one of the things that we work on, we not only work on helping you to rebuild credit that has been, negatively impacted. You know your credit is not good. You've run into some obstacles. You ran into a bad period of life. A lot of people have experienced a lot of medical issues, and they did not have the insurance to cover everything. And sometimes they even had the insurance, but for one reason or another, they still ended up with something, going into collections. I usually talk to my clients that are experiencing that about the charitable programs that most hospitals have, but also sometimes we need to do other things to rebuild your credit. And sometimes we just need to establish credit because you don't have any, or your credit is too thin, and so you can't get credit. Well, there's some awesome credit building tools that I use that with my clients. I talk to them about, identity theft. And one of the things I recommend, for example, is to opt out of getting all of those pre-approved. You've been pre-approved for this card. You've been pre-approved for that. That exposes you more, and it makes you more susceptible to identity theft. So I tell my clients, there's a website, put in these 3 words, pre-screen, opt out. I forget which order they're in, but if you put in pre-screen opt out, you'll go to that, you'll see that website. You can opt out of getting all of that unnecessary pre-approvals, so that when you're ready to be pre-approved, I will let you know, this is where I want you to go and get pre-approved before you apply for that card. But stop those pre-approvals. So we want to protect you against identity theft. Make sure that if there's anything on your credit report that is inaccurate, you absolutely get that disputed and removed. We have to dispute certain things. I'll help you with that process. Sometimes we're able to settle accounts, but what we do not want that creditor to put on the credit report that it has been settled, that you didn't pay what you owed, but you settled it. And so, exactly. So we negotiate. It's a negotiation, and I help you with that process. I teach you which debts you need to pay off first, because there is an importance in order when we're trying to increase your credit score. Just so many things that we do that I help you with in that vein. Also, negative items, how long will they stay on your credit report? Depending on what they are, from 7 to 10 years. And it's very, very important. I have a client that contacted me because she said her mortgage lender told her that she needed to meet with a credit counselor. She's thinking about filing for bankruptcy. And I told her, I said, well, that's the last thing we want to do, because I've had clients that filed for bankruptcy, for example, and their cases were dismissed, not discharged, but dismissed, and still it was on their credit report
Oh,
for
wow.
10 years. They had filed for, so you've got to be very careful about, what things you do and how you do them, because we don't want those negatives unless we can have a legitimate way of getting some of these things off. And that too is a possibility. We also talk about rights. There are certain rights that you have as a consumer. You have the right to be treated fairly. That's the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, not to be discriminated against without regard to race or creed or neighborhood or whether you get EBT benefits. None of that matters. You have the right to be treated fairly. The Card Act also says that you have the right to know when your interest rates are going to be increased. A lot of times we don't read the fine print in all those papers that come with our bill. We just kind of pay the bill and keep it moving. But sometimes they're letting you know, we're taking your interest rate up. It was, 17.5%. It's going to be 23% effective, a certain date. You may need to know that. You may have a good credit score, and you may want to decide, well, I'm going to roll this little debt over on a 0% interest card. The 3% I'm going to have to pay for that is going to be worth it versus paying this over time at 23, 25, or 32% interest. So you've got a right to know that. You've got a right that no matter what is on your credit report, if it's not accurate, if it can't be verified, or if it's not complete, you've got a right to have that disputed, and many of those items can be removed. And so that's one of the laws that I deal with a lot with my clients. And you have a right that if you have a collection, you didn't make that you didn't sign an agreement with that collection company. So why are you even talking to them on the phone? Do you even know who that is on the phone calling you asking about that? I tell my clients, you tell them, I need you to, first of all, before I answer any questions, I don't know you, I don't know who you are. I need you to verify that this is even my debt, that I'm the right person for you to talk to. And you have power, you have control that you need to employ. If someone is harassing you, contacting you on your job all hours of the day and night, you have power. We can cease and desist that action. So you've got to know your rights. And you also need to know the statute of limitations for where you created the debt. If you created it in the state that you live in, you need to know the statute for that state. I live in Mississippi. The statute of limitations for credit card debt, for example, is 3 years. In Tennessee, it's 6. So you need to know that, because after that time frame, there's some things that your creditors just cannot do legally.
Wow.
Finally, 10 steps to financial wholeness. Number 1, you need to have a budget, because a budget is you being in the driver's seat. It's you telling your money where to go, instead of at the end of the month wonder, oh my God, where did my money go? So we want to establish a budget, and we do that the first time that we meet. We do it together. It's painless for the most part. I mean, sometimes it's such an eye-opening experience. I hear people say all the time, I mean, they can't believe they're spending that much. But yeah, we do the budget, and that helps you to bring everything in alignment. We also encourage you to automate your savings and to have an emergency fund. Set it and forget it. Don't even think about it. Don't determine whether or not, after you've paid all your other stuff and spent all your money, whether you've got enough to put in savings. You'll never be able to save like that. And don't connect your primary savings to your checking. Most people don't have the discipline to do that. Put it someplace else, set it and forget it. It's not in your path of travel. It's out of sight, it's out of mind. It comes out before you even see your money. And one day you'll look at it and you'll be surprised. And when you have that emergency, if you establish that emergency fund, which should be no less than 3 months of your must-pay expenses, but I generally tell people 6 to 9 months, you're going to be happy you got it, because now we don't have to go fund you.
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't have to do that because you've handled your business. So I encourage all of that. Pay off your debt, even if you've got a mortgage, and you can add more to that principal, because when you don't do that, whether it's you've got a car that you've financed, you got a house you finance, or whatever, a boat, whatever you finance, when you finance something, you've got to pay interest, and that interest can be you're buying that same item 2 or 3 more times, depending on how you pay it. So we want to encourage you to double down on that principal. Even now, like for the student loans, there are some people that have like 100,000, 200 and more $1,000 in student loans. And I mean, they're looking like, okay, what is Biden going to do? Is he going to pay it off? Is he going to forgive it? Well, some of it may be forgiven. We're praying for that, but you better believe it's doubtful that all of it is going to be forgiven. So during this time of when they're not assessing interest, double down on paying that principal down, so that when interest starts coming back, once it's out of forbearance or out of there's now making you start paying it again. If it's a government loan, you have already decreased that principal. So pay off your debt. Have a high credit score. We already talked about 700 and above. Have multiple streams of income. And if you can have any of those to be residual, it's even better. Then that way you're in a better financial position. I talk to people about life insurance simply because I had a client that turned 77 and her life insurance expired. And I tell people, I've got some that have young children, and when they had money, they weren't thinking about, let's get life insurance, because our children are young, and when they're born, I mean, that's the cheapest it's ever going to be. And so you got to think about those things. Have a financial team. Don't make all your financial decisions by yourself. I am one person that will be on your team. You can add others. Invest. We talked about that, whether it's real estate, stock, mutual funds, whatever. We want to put your money to work for you. We want to get ahead of the 5% inflation rate that we're living in right now. You want to have a positive net worth. That's more assets than liabilities. That's more money, or more assets are things that can bring money into your household versus things that are going to take money out of your household. And ultimately, you want to leave a legacy, or what I call a family wealth portfolio, for those that are coming behind. Those are 10 steps to financial wholeness. And this has basically been our presentation. The next steps would be to contact me either by email or by phone, and let's get started.
All right, Regina, that is amazing. I have told you guys, if you have questions, please put them in the comments. All right, put them in the comments below. I'm telling you, I've been just going crazy over here. The first thing that hit me was when you said mindset. We have been brought up where money is, a lot of us, I should say, have been brought up in households where money was scarce. And so the mentality around it was, well, just use it because you don't know when the next amount is coming. It doesn't have a plan to it. It just, you send it out. And I love that where it says, tell your money where to go. So getting that spending plan, that budget in place, telling your money where to go. I wrote down too about the home ownership information that you guys give, and knowing what your credit, the parts and portions of the credit score come from. My goodness, this was so power packed. I have on the screen Regina's contact information, regina.osei@operationhope.org. Send that email today so that she can reach out to you and help you get started on your venture. I put in also, Regina, just to let you know, the pre-screen opt-out. I put that website in the comments. So if you want to do that, and that's something that I will do, because we get those, and I never even knew there was a way to opt out of it. And it drives me nuts because I'm like, somebody's gonna grab this out of my mailbox one day, and and then what? And
You're
then
right.
absolutely. So we need to make sure that we are monitoring those things. Let's see. Can you just tell us one more time, how do you check your credit score for free? I want to put that in the chat.
I do ask for people to use annualcreditreport.com
Okay.
to check their credit scores for free. Annualcreditreport.com. And like I said, when I checked them last, they were allowing you to check all 3 of the credit bureaus for free once a week. And it's important to look at all 3 because your creditors do not report the same way to the same organizations or at the same time. They can decide not to report to anybody. They can decide to report to only one, or they can decide to report to all 3, however they want to. They report at different times. So when you actually get a score, now annualcreditreport.com, you're going to get the report, not the score.
Okay.
But it's the information on the report that drives the score. So I have all my clients to check the other 2 credit bureaus because I provide them with their TransUnion. But I want them to look at the other 2 to make sure there's nothing inaccurate that we need to dispute.
Okay. I got your message. I'm taking care of that right now. Wow. If you are on, please make sure that you put your name in. Just let us know who you are and where you are joining from. I see my good friend Sierra has come on. And Cog Bisbee says, I'll be emailing my questions today. Oh, wow. Great, Sierra. I am so glad to hear that. Carol Lewis said, thank you. This has been very informative. And Ray G says, great information. Latoya said, wow. So there are people that are watching that have gotten this information. Make sure you send this to someone that needs this information. I'm going to let you know, Regina, I texted it to my daughter. I'm like, email her now. Email her now, because this is amazing. You mentioned something that I want you to, and we're getting ready to just about to go. I wanted to know multiple streams of income. That was something that hit me. Just kind of talk about that, because a lot of people may have heard it and what do you mean multiple streams of income? I go to work. You want me to have 5 jobs? I'm working as hard as I can.
No, definitely not. I want you to have a high quality of life. But I do, one of the things I find, Valerie, is that each one of us, God has given us certain giftings. We have certain interests. We lean a certain way. The Bible talks about how we should point our children in the way that they're bent. And so all of us have something that we can do or something that we can create. For some of us, it's writing. Perhaps you're writing a book, and while you're working your job and you're doing your writing, or you're writing poetry. Now it's so easy to get published that if you pursue that dream, that's another stream of income, or could be another stream of income for you that will be working in the background while you're doing something else in the foreground. Wow. So I encourage people to tap into their God-ordained, God-given gifts, talents, and abilities. I went through a passion process with one of my clients, and we talked about, I asked her several questions, and as I was jotting down her answers, we discovered that she loves writing. Actually, she loves writing, and she would do it if she weren't. She doesn't matter whether she's paid for it. It's just something she loves to do, and she loves writing about real life experiences for women. So I encouraged her, start a blog. You can start a blog, and it can be monetized, and that could be a stream of income for you. Many people are doing YouTube videos now on everything. And they're teaching people how to braid, or they're teaching people, just some of everything, anything you want. And they're getting those things monetized. So that's another stream of income. So whether or not you can do it residually, I just encourage you to think about, what could I do that could bring in another stream of income so that I'm making mattress money. When I'm sleeping, something is still coming my way.
Absolutely. And so many of us have hobbies that have been, we've honed in on them during the pandemic, and you can start monetizing that. Like you said, if it's baking cakes, tell us a little bit about the baking cakes thing.
Well, you know what? The dream girl, Penny Allison, and I would encourage everybody to look up I'm a Dream Girl.
Yes.
Connect with Penny Allison. I usually send my clients her way and tell them about her book and her chats. But she was with us living in our home for a period of time this year. And my oldest daughter, Sion, wanted to learn how to bake. Well, I'm not a baker. And I was willing to send her to a class, but I couldn't help her. Penny bakes, and she bakes beautifully. So Sion learned how to bake. Everything that Penny knew how to do, she taught Sion. And Sion decided, because she started baking and we were enjoying the stuff so much. It's delicious. Her cakes, her pies, her cookies, they're so good. So she decided, I'm going to start a business. My daughter is 14. So she did. She started a business this summer, and she has orders that she's filling right now for people that have ordered her cakes. Some, they came to our house, I think, for 4th of July, and she just, shared. And after tasting, we're like, girl, I'm putting in an order. So.
Well, you just showed us one thing, that this is generational. It is generational. So you are teaching your daughters how to capitalize, to make those multiple streams of income. One day Sion may be a baker, but for right now, she's learning how to make money, how to build a business, how to, to make things profitable, and how to use her money. So that is amazing. So Regina doesn't just teach others, she's teaching her own children as well. I love it. I love it. I love it. I put in the chat as well, imadreamgirl.com, so you guys can go and check Penny Allison out as well. That's one of my yadas. She has been so instrumental in helping me move and live in my dreams as well. So thank you so much. If you look on the screen, you will see Regina.Osei at operationhope.org. That is her email, a way to get directly in touch with her. You can also go to the website, operationhope.org, and you can find out more about the program. Regina, we have truly appreciated this. I love to end my broadcast by asking the visitor, what are you doing right now that gives you joy and is helping you live your best radiant life?
Right now, I think, because I have my mother here with me, I've wanted my mother. My mother turned 90 this year. And my husband, my children, and I lived with her for 12 years. When I lived in Ghana for 4 years, and when we came back, we moved here and we grew our family in her home. Well, now she's with us. And I am so grateful. So my children are growing up with their grandmother, and she's teaching them. My mother was an educator for 30 plus years of her life. She was a counselor. So she's teaching and counseling my children. I love that it's the compact family, the husband, the wife, the mother, the children.
Absolutely.
So I'm enjoying my family.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm going to send you to the green room. Don't go anywhere. I want to talk to you before we close out. But thank you again so much for being here this morning.
Thank you. And Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Amen. This has been good. I hope you shared this. If you did not share it, it's not too late because it's not going anywhere. Share it so that people can have an opportunity to hear this information. I'm going to listen to it all over again because I want to make sure that we are doing the right things with our money, that we are making the right decisions with our money as well. And Mr. Ray G from Numanda, whatever he said he was from. That's my husband. Anyway, we are going to make sure that we are utilizing this information. I've gotten some great tips and some practical ideas of how to move forward. So thank you for joining us this morning. And remember, we want to build and empower you to live radiant lives. Be radiant. I'm going to close out. Have a great Saturday. We will see you here next Saturday at 9 a.m. Have a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Blessings.